The UK construction industry. 2 million workers carrying out jobs worth £100 billion every year.
Time is always money.
Where smashing, grabbing, digging and demolishing are all in a day's work.
It's big boys, big toys.
But this workforce would be nowhere without big, yellow diggers. Now, in this literally groundbreaking series, we follow these hero machines and the men and women who drive them.
It's starting to sing.
We've just had an epic fail down here.
Welcome to the world of big diggers. Coming up, working in a giant sandpit gets dangerous.
One slip and you're gone.
A digger's stranded as the tide comes in.
If we can't achieve what we want to achieve, then we're going to have a machine that's going to be a total write-off by the morning.
School's out forever.
There's a little bit of satisfaction at smashing up a school.
And ripping out a kiddie's playground is no child's play. Welcome to specialist digger hire company HE Services, one of the biggest suppliers of diggers and their operators to the UK construction industry. For this plant hire company, diggers are a way of life. It's 8:15 AM and the team at head office has been set a head-scratchingly difficult challenge. On the face of it, the job should be pretty straightforward. Supply a digger to a beach in Cornwall to build sea defences to stop sea erosion. The only problem is that the beach is totally cut off. There's a narrow road through the nearest fishing village.
There's no way that you're going to get a JCB of that size through these streets. It's just not physically possible. It was never built for such a thing.
And then just a footpath that drops down 200 feet to the beach below. And chances of getting a digger down that are zero. But hire manager Pam Jury has a plan.
The only accessible way we can get a machine there would be by sea.
The job needs a powerful digger that's light enough to fit on a boat, but strong enough to shift 600 tons of rocks. Pam decides the only machine that fits the bill is the PC210. Contractor Marcus Evans will be responsible for looking after this 150 grand machine when it's on the job.
We're going to reverse it right down and drop the ramps, so our ramps drop onto their ramps.
With 14 years in the industry, Marcus is your man when it comes to digger Mission Impossible. The digger is dispatched from the Exeter depot to the docks in Falmouth. There, Marcus manoeuvres it onto an ex-Swedish Navy landing craft. But skipper Mark Pollard is worried about loading 22 tons of digger in the shallow waters of the port.
Once the machine goes on, we're going to drop down in the water a bit, so if we're on a falling tide, once we touch, it's not going to get any higher, so we're stuck. So we've got to do it on a rising tide, which is difficult.
In fact, the water is so shallow that the Viking has to beach itself just so the digger has any chance of being loaded at all.
So if you think about it, the digger's going to be constantly trying to push us off the slipway.
It's going to be tight getting on here, very tight.
And if that's not enough, the digger is wider than the loading ramp, leaving Marcus with barely a matchbox width of space on either side of his tracks.
I'm going to have to get right up tight against that, aren't I? What about that side? Am I right on that side? There isn't much room to play with at all here. We've just come on. That's what you call tight. Very tight. Nearly there now. She'll rock in a minute. Oh, she goes, that's it.
After 15 minutes of inch-by-inch manoeuvring, he's made it. The digger is safely aboard, for now, because next they have to get it to the beach. soon as they arrive, it becomes apparent the digger problem they faced at the dock is even more serious here in the shallow waters of the cove.
We've got a lot of rocks to contend with to get in amongst when we get up there. It's high water, you're not going to see a lot of these rocks. So if we're a few feet, a few metres out, we could, there's potential to hit the rocks.
One wrong move and this massive piece of hardware will end up in the water, and then it's off to digger heaven for this machine.
Not a lot of room for errors. We've got to go in, then spin 90 degrees, then in, spin another 90 degrees, then in, all within, well, you can see the buoys there, all within sort of 40, 50 feet really. So it's going to have to have the crew keeping a good eye out.
It's going to be a bit tight because we've got that cliff there. We're going to have to get right out under the cliff. So there we go. See what happens. We're all right. Going to get our toes wet. Whoa! Hang on.
Hey! They've done it. But all that manoeuvring means there's now no time to start this job. In less than 2 hours, the tide will submerge this beach. But Mark has a plan.
We've got to take enough rock to build ourselves a safe platform above high tide level so that we can store the machine overnight.
As risks go, this is the biggest he's ever attempted in his career.
If we can't achieve what we want to achieve, then we're going to have a machine that's going to be a total write-off by the morning.
Marcus starts piling up the sand and rock. His challenge, to make sure it's a strong enough platform to hold the machine.
It'll be a long night. Try and get this up out of the salt water.
As the sun sets, and with only the digger's high-power LED lights to guide him, Marcus piles up the final rocks. He then just has to manoeuvre the digger up onto them.
That's it. We can't do anything now until tomorrow morning about 8:30.
As Marcus heads home for a well-earned good night's sleep, he just hopes the platform is high enough for his plan to work. Tomorrow at dawn, he'll find out. Coming up,
You've got no room for error.
it's Digger versus Sand Mountain on the Kent coast.
One slip and you're gone.
Everything's going wrong in the Welsh valleys,
There's got to be a better solution than this.
and it's the moment of truth on a Cornish beach. Sand, the lifeblood of the construction industry. 1 billion tonnes of the stuff is used in the UK each year, enough to fill every Premier League football stadium in the country. This morning, HE has dispatched a 35-tonne digger from its Strood depot to the country's largest sand supplier based in Moulton Wharf, Northfleet, Kent. Its job to unload 26,000 tonnes of sand in less than 8 hours from this beast of a ship, the Sandnes, which has just arrived from Denmark.
Comes in by ship and goes out by road.
It's hard to believe, but just 2 men are responsible for shifting the lot. Scots-born Barry Bonner has been in the construction game for 12 years. Today, he'll be doing the most dangerous part of the job.
It takes a bit of getting used to because you're disorientated. One mistake either way and you can fall off the edge. Too close to the edge and you're gone.
Workmate Robbie Anderson has the easy job today, loading up the dumper trucks with the sand. A digger operator too, he knows firsthand the risks Barry is about to face.
It is one of the most dangerous. If you don't concentrate what you're doing, you'll be killed.
With the ship docked, it's now a race against time to unload her before the tide goes out. As the water gets shallower, the dangers increase.
The tide plays a big factor in the ships coming in and out, as they need the water below the ship to keep them afloat. They can't hit the ground, otherwise they'll snap in two.
Before the lads can get to work, the sand needs to be moved onto the dock. To do this, a massive boom, which is basically a conveyor belt the length of 3 jumbo jets, is hoisted from the ship over the dock. When it's in position, the sand's ready to roll.
It comes from belts below the ship that take it to that belt, which takes it into the yard.
Once it starts, only an emergency will stop it.
When the sand starts hitting the ground, that's it, the digger's on duty. It's all go from now on. There's no turning back. We've just got to get the sand back as quick as we can before the ship loses tide.
With over 2,000 tonnes emptying onto the dock every hour, Barry literally needs to keep on top of things.
You don't muck about when you're up there. Your concentration level's got to be high. You've got no room for error. You know, one slip and you're gone.
He must keep moving the sand away from the top of the mounting pile at all costs. If it hits the ship's boom, everything will come to a grinding halt. And what goes up must eventually come down.
Coming off the heaps, everyone does it different. There's not 2 people do it the same. I put it in fast track on the machine and just go flat out down them, but the rest of them don't.
Barry moves on to his next pile, but after 4 hours, the tide's dropping rapidly. With just 17 feet before the sand nez grounds on the bottom of the dock, the crew's getting nervous.
Barry can't afford any slip-ups. But all of a sudden, disaster strikes.
It's Barry's worst nightmare. With the digger out of action, he'll need to call an engineer to sort the problem fast. But all that takes time, and for a nervous captain, the delay's too much. He decides to pull the ship into deeper water. With no sand coming off the ship for now, and the engineer working as fast as he can on the broken down digger, all they can do is wait for the tide to come back in, which will mean working a night shift without any sleep to get this job done.
It's not easy. We'll fill ourselves up with coffee, tea. As it started out as a 12-hour job, it's going to be now 18-hour job or longer.
After 6 frustrating hours, the ship returns with the tide, and now it's back to work in the dark.
It's harder at night because you're only using the light off the machine. You know, that's the only light you've got no other light.
At 6 AM, after slogging through the night, the last of 200 fully loaded dumpers head out to building sites across Britain.
That's what, 25 hours now so far shift.
This is a tough job for tough guys, but even Barry and Robbie are ready for a soft mattress and a cup of cocoa.
Right, good night.
What shall we say? Good morning.
Capstone Farm Park Playground, Kent, 9 AM. Father and son duo Alan and Scott Chapman have just taken delivery of a long-armed excavator from the hire company's Strood depot.
Get out of the way! Get out of the do me a favour, get out of the way, don't stand so close. geezers trying to work.
Alan's been running a construction business for as long as he can remember.
Yeah, we just work in different ways. It all gets down the same, it's just he does things his way, I do things my way. We just try and stay out of each other's way and everyone's happy. Job done.
Today's job should be child's play. They'll be ripping out this old playground ready for a complete renovation. But below the surface, they've been warned there are several high voltage power cables. If they catch one of these with a digger bucket, it'll be game over. And only last week, they had a call a bit close for comfort.
First thing, Scott put his bucket in, just curled the bucket below the surface, straight across the top of a 750 volt cable.
750 volts of live electricity is easily enough to stop a man's heart, so nothing's left to chance. Armed with a CAT scanner, a device which detects electric currents, they scour every inch of the area they're about to excavate.
There's a massive great cable, goes right the way through the centre of this play area, and I think it links the 2 CCTV cameras up.
Scott marks them out with spray paint as a visual marker for when he starts digging. The boys think they've located and marked out all the cables.
Yeah, you're right.
But as Scott attempts to make his first scoop in the ground where a play pit's going to be fitted, hired hand Fred spots something they've missed.
There's a cable here. See it there, look.
You're having a laugh.
Just a couple of centimetres deeper and he'd have gone right through it.
It's live.
It's a close call, but this time Scott and Fred will live to tell the tale.
Before they can crack on with the digging, Dad needs some help from the excavator for a spot of heavy lifting.
Scott, can you scrape the top of that off for us from the concrete?
They need to uproot this post carefully without damaging it, as it's going to be reused. Easier said than done when it's cemented into the ground.
There's about 1.5 metre cube of concrete underneath, holding that centre spindle down.
Watch yourself! Get out of the way!
The digger makes light work of the concrete slab, which is heavier than a Ford Mondeo. All Alan has to do is chip it off bit by bit with a pecker attachment on his mini digger. But with just 15 horsepower to play with, he's slow going.
Looks like Dad's going to be there for the rest of the week.
Digger operator Marcus Evans left his digger stranded on a remote Cornish beach overnight as the tide came in. Today he'll find out if his plan of building a rock and sand island to maroon it on has worked, or if the sea has swept it away. First signs are good, the digger is still there, but only a full inspection will tell Marcus if he's built the island high enough, or if the machine is a washout. He clambers down the rocks. Don't try this at home, kids. And once there, performs a systems check. And the result is no flood damage. His plan has worked.
We're off.
With the digger fully operational, he cracks on with the job, building a sea defence.
Just feel her there. Oh, going up onto one track. Yeah.
These massive rocks act like shock absorbers against the sea, protecting the base of the cliff from further erosion.
Just increase the tracking speed there, get us up a bit faster. Now it's just a case of continue to move this rock up the beach, get it placed in along the front of the wall.
And with that, he's moved his last boulder for the day. Now it's time to get ready for the journey home.
Job done and away we go. Hopefully they'll come back for us.
Coming up, there's more trouble underfoot for Scott and Alan.
There's water, you muppet.
Danger of 40-foot towers coming down in Reading. And things aren't going quite to plan in the Welsh Valleys.
We've got 3 days to do it, and it's just not going to happen at this rate.
Back in Capstone Park, father and son team Scott and Alan Chapman are busy ripping out a kids' play area. They've already unearthed a high voltage electricity cable they didn't know was there, and they're hoping for no more nasty surprises.
We just crack on, try and get it done as quick as possible. Do a good job for the kids. Get it done, get out of here. Get home.
Dad Alan is using a Bobcat digger with a pecker attachment to chip the concrete off this metal climbing frame post. It's slow going, and he's making a right meal of it. The Bobcat 320 is a vintage piece of kit, straight out of the 1980s. With only 15.7 horsepower, it's only suitable for light work. Probably not the best bit of kit for this particular job.
I've been on it now for nearly 2 hours. As you can see, I've not made much progress with it.
Meanwhile, on the other side of the site, Scott is taking a break.
Hard life, innit?
But it hasn't gone unnoticed.
You've got to crack on with it. He's got to be here, and you've got to load him straight away.
What are you on about, crank?
Four hours of chipping away at his concrete, and Alan's losing the will to live.
Doing a job like this that's soul destroying.
He abandons the post, and after a quick attachment change to a bucket, decides to help Scott with the final stage of the digging. But in no time at all, he thinks he's unearthed yet another power cable. Luckily, son Scott's there to set him straight.
There's water, you muppet. It's blue poly, it's water. He thought it was a cable, it's just a bit of blue poly. It's probably the water supply runs into the calf with all the electric.
But if I'd have pulled that up, they wouldn't have had no tea in the park tomorrow.
With the digging finished, all that's left to do is shift the troublesome metal pole.
Scott's on his own on this one, but with the might of the long-armed excavator at his disposal, what could possibly go wrong? It's a disaster for the digger, but luckily Scott's unscathed.
Nice touch.
His wallet won't be though. A digger's windscreen will set him back £200.
That's why I wanted you to just hold the top. Don't listen to me, man.
It's been a long and trying day, but Alan's a man who always looks on the bright side of life.
Never mind, I'm going on holiday Friday week.
Their job's done. As for the post, it'll have to be collected later in the week by specialist lifting equipment. Every now and again, head office gets an emergency call
Richard speaking.
to supply a specialist digger and digger operator to a job that's baffled other contractors.
Right, okay, where is the site?
Whilst sorting out these problems is all part and parcel of what they do,
Leave it with us, we'll have a look into it.
the pressure's on to get the job right on first attempt.
We will get it sorted one way or another.
This morning, a long-armed excavator has been dispatched from the Hungerford depot to Williamstown in the Welsh Valleys. A steep bank which is threatening to collapse onto an access road leading to a new school needs to be made safe.
They've had problems where they get a lot of rain around these valleys. Soil is washed off the bank A bank that slipped, health and safety issues are abundant. It's the main road coming to the school, so it's got to be 100% safe.
It's a job that stumped the last contractor brought in to find a solution.
There was another company that was involved with doing this job. They had a bit of a problem. They touched the bank, unfortunately it tore the fabric, and they had to rebuild it all again, hence we're in, you know.
Foreman Gareth Davis has been given just 3 days to sort it out. Gareth has put his main man, Valley boy Nick Hughes, on the job. Nick was born and bred in this area and is well aware of the unique nature of the challenge.
We can't get an excavator up the top, so it's got to be done from the floor. Thus, we've got a long reach machine that is more than capable of reaching safely and hopefully do what's required of it.
To stop a potential landslide, a carbon fibre mesh system has been pinned to the bank with steel rods. The honeycomb membrane now needs to be filled and compacted with soil. This is a hugely delicate operation.
If he touches the top of the bank, puts too much weight on it, you could tear the carbon meshing down. If that happens, the job's ruined.
With his reputation on the line, Gareth wants to make sure he and Nick agree how to proceed before they start the job.
If you're worried at any time, you think things are unsafe, obviously stop the job.
Yeah.
I will. And we make sure everything's done 100%.
Okay.
With the clock ticking, Nick jumps into the 25-ton digger to get on with the work.
Nice and steady, just feed it out slowly.
But straight away, they come up against the obstacle that defeated the contractor before them.
Gravity has taken effect and it's just hitting the floor. Very little is going inside.
Nick can't see a quicker way to fill the bank without getting the bucket right up to the mesh.
Bit too close there, mate.
It's a risk Gareth's not prepared to take.
Well, I've got to touch the membrane to get the topsoil close enough to it.
Appreciate that, but I just concerned every time it's touching, it's compacting, we're going to lose the profile. Can't afford to tear it. It's been torn once before.
Yeah.
There's got to be a better solution than this. We really could do with this bucket the other way around, couldn't we?
That's right. But on this type of machine, I'm afraid that's not possible.
Nick knows his machines, and he knows there's no way to rotate this type of bucket.
So it's impossible then?
It's impossible.
All right, I'll see what they can sort out.
Yeah.
Gareth will need to make some calls to get this job on track.
But at the moment, it's costing somebody a great deal of money. Unnecessarily. It's a good job, it's not mine.
I think all right. The only concern I've got at the moment is this bucket on the machine. We can't swing it around.
But it sounds like the depot know exactly what he needs.
That should get us going. Thank you, Rick. You're a gentleman, mate. We'll have a fit here within the hour.
Choosing the right attachments for your digger is critical for the success of any job. The hire depot has arrived with a reverse hinge attachment that allows them to get this job moving. Nick's nifty fingers set to work.
Take him off now, mate.
Off comes the bucket, and on goes the reverse hinge attachment.
That's the right. That's more or less it, isn't it?
Finally, the bucket can go on the other way round, which it does perfectly.
Bloody marvellous!
The new bucket fitting means that Nick can rush right up to the membrane.
Nice bit of driving, mate. Looking good. It's all working a treat. It's going nicely into the bank. We should be on time now, which is a blessing. Makes me happy anyway.
The soil stays where it should, the bank is safe, and Gareth and Nick's reputations are intact. Sometimes a demolition can be a truly satisfying job, one most of us can only ever dream about. It's 8 AM and a JS360 has been dispatched from the Hungerford depot to the centre of Reading. The job to demolish this set of old school buildings as part of a multi-million-pound redevelopment. Going back to school today is demolition expert Tim Roberts.
I wasn't very a school person, but no, I didn't really like school. I've always been a hands-on bloke.
More practical than top of the class, Tim has a reputation for getting the job done in record-breaking time. He has 4 weeks to clear this site, but he thinks he can do it in 2 days. And boy, is he looking forward to it.
There's a little bit of satisfaction at smashing up a school, yeah.
First lesson, and it's Tim's favourite subject, a branch of physics known as applied deconstruction. If you've ever wondered how to dismantle a porter cabin, that big drafty classroom used for falling asleep in during double French, it's time to take notes. First, you pull out the front panels. Then, it's time to get the metal roof joists out. Next, you peel off the roof.
Nice big lump there.
Finally, you go for the floorboards. And that's how you pull down a porter cabin. Though if you want to cheat, and Tim does, there is another way.
Oh, I'm just going to give this a little tap and see what happens. She's down.
Now he's warmed up, Tim's going to get all creative with the school's art block.
All the famous heads here. I don't know who that is, I think that might be Michael Jackson or something.
The massive 3-ton grabber attachment picks apart the building with pinpoint precision.
Yeah, I've got Michael Jackson by the nose, look. It's a bit wonky now.
Tim grabs hold of the art block floor.
First bit of floor got out in one. It's good. I'm happy with that.
Don't talk too soon. Moving swiftly on. Next, he must bring down the art block tower. This stage is all about patience and nerves of steel. A 7-ton concrete roof rests on the top of the building. Tim needs to use all his skill to make sure the tower collapses the right way, or both he and his digger will be a write-off. It's down, and Tim's on a roll. Tomorrow, he'll be taking out the rest of the building. But there's one more obstacle to overcome. The school's main sewage pipe still runs within a foot of the building. He'll have to bring the wall down away from this pipe.
Looks nice and fragile. Hopefully I won't break it. But you've got so many kids using the toilet, I thought it could be quite a mess.
And if he does break the pipe, he'll be the one clearing it up. Coming up, Tim's bricking it. And hire company boss Hugh attempts a champagne stunt in a big digger. It's the second day of the school demolition job in Reading. Digger operator Tim Roberts has 2 weeks to get this job done, but he's going for his record and thinks he can do it in 2 days.
I'll say the building will probably be down about 12 o'clock. It'll be down by 12, definitely.
But his plan has hit a snag. He has to bring down the rest of this building without bricks and rubble damaging the school's main sewage pipe. This part of the building contains over 5,000 bricks.
I I've got to try and avoid any oil core or any of these concrete bits actually dropping down, obviously breaking the wood, you know, and smashing that pipe.
What's needed is a controlled demolition, but he's worried he won't be able to do this by himself.
I'm going to get another machine just to hold the side of the wall while I take the rest of the roof and everything off.
Workmate Dan gets himself into position.
And in you go, mate.
If the wall starts leaning the wrong way, he's there to stop it.
All right, mate. Ready to roll. Has he got the wall, yeah?
Bricks are falling onto the feeble planks of wood, protecting the sewage pipe. Tim stops work.
A few bricks down here, but no damage so far. The pipe looks like it's okay, and no sewage problems.
A relieved Tim can now crack on bringing this building down. Like a pair of prehistoric monsters, these diggers work together to tear their prey apart, picking over its bones, sharing every last morsel. 40 minutes later, and there's just one wall standing.
This is the last bit of wall. Just going to knock the top bit off. Ready? Right, we're off. He's down.
Without doubt, Tim gets a gold star for this job.
Originally they wanted this job done in 4 weeks. Basically I've taken me, 2 days to knock this building down, which ain't bad going really. I mean obviously there's a bit of clearing up, but it's pretty much done.
He's to say the least a total digger freak. Not only does he work with diggers 24/7, 365 days a year, he holds the land speed record for driving a digger from Land's End to John O'Groats.
We've ordered nearly 400 diggers, mainly 3CXs. It's pretty impressive when you see this brand new yellow JCB roll off the end of a production line, and yeah, it's exciting knowing that that's going to come back to our depot, wherever it may be, and then go out and earn some money on rent to customers in the UK.
The JCB factory in Rochester, Staffordshire is 3 times the size of Wembley Stadium. It's a round-the-clock operation. The production line never stops, even Christmas Day. Each digger starts life as a sheet of steel. Each sheet is cut by a laser and then fabricated into parts that make up the frame. The frame is robot welded together and then is sent through for painting. Just like Henry Ford's philosophy, the customer can have any choice of colour as long as it's yellow.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'd want to be in there painting all day.
After painting, each digger is assembled on this moving line. The engine, hydraulics, cab and wheels are all added.
It's amazing to see these machines being put together. I'm an engineer by trade, so I really appreciate the engineering, hard work and design that goes into producing modern machinery nowadays.
Every 7 minutes, another digger is finished and rolls off the production line.
Wow, look at this. The transport lorries will take them from here to our depots in the UK. From there, the depots will put them out on individual jobs. Within a week from now, they'll all be on sites digging dirt.
Inspection over, Hugh heads inside, where he has a surprise up his sleeve.
I'm going to attempt using the back arm of a JCB to open a bottle of champagne.
This stunt has never been attempted by Hugh before, and if that's not nerve-wracking enough, he's being watched by all the senior management team. Millimetre accuracy is required to cut through the wire, holding the cork in place. With patience, it's freed, and out pops the cork. The final and most tricky part of the stunt is to lift the bottle over to the glasses. But then, disaster. But Hugh's out to prove that it can be done, and second time around, he does finally get to pour some champagne.
Well, I think it's time for some champagne. Cheers.
Cheers, well done.
Cheers.